board support. And because we have some new folks, we would like to maybe just do a quick introduction, who you are, where you're at, what organization you're with. Doesn't have to be long, but just short and quick. And I can, instead of worrying about who's going, I'll just go down our list and kind of do roll call as we do this. So Jim's actually first.
Yes, I'm here. Hey, folks. Getting over being quite sick, so apologies for not being there in person. Really glad to be here. Am I to pass it?
Jim, could you give us just you're with Build Oregon and where you at today?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that. The work at Housing with Disaster Recovery is great. We've gotten 40 families into home in the last year. We've got 65 projects underway, and our Team Oregon Build efforts. We're hosting a summer camp in 4 weeks and 3 days. 32 educators, 174 students completely booked in Knife River Training Facility in Albany. It'll be a post-disaster simulation, 5 days, 24 hours a day experience with 7 agencies, including the National Guard, for those kids to build a tent city and also start building sheds and shelters for readiness for this summer's fire season.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
I'm next on the list, Digit McCracken. I work for Oregon State University. I'm the Youth CTE Trades and Workforce Development Specialist. I work statewide. I'm here in person today, unlike all of you on the screen, and came over from John Day over in Eastern Oregon. So that's fun. It's a long ways. Maybe farther than some of you that are on the screen there, just saying.
I told her not. Just I said, don't start off the meeting with that.
Belinda, is Belinda here?
Yes,
Yay, Belinda, can you go?
sure. Our name, organization, and what we're doing.
Yep.
Okay. Belinda Brown, co-selected band member of the Ojibwe Otsego Nation, otherwise known as the Pit River Tribe. I work as the Tribal Partnerships Director at Lomakatsi Restoration Project. It's a 31-year-old nonprofit. And today, hailing from the ancestral lands of the Shasta Nation here in Ashland, Oregon, where our main office is. And we also have satellite office in Burns. John Day is very near and dear to my heart. So that's about it. We have an OCC program that we're in our final 2 weeks of with 10 participants. So we're excited about that, gearing up for fire season, wildland fire season. We're a nonprofit of 85 people, and we have the OCC program, multi-regional, used to be multi-regional, now Pacific Regional Indian Youth Service Corps agreement that we can work in Washington, Oregon, and California. And then we have a national parks agreement with Indian Youth Service Corps that we can work across the nation in national parks. We are also getting ready to launch our Ashland Youth Program for 16 to 17-year-olds in the next 3 weeks, as soon as our OCC program ends. And then also our Tribal Stewards Program. It also covers John Day fossil beds and work out in Harney County with the Burns Paiute tribe. So we're really excited about the launch of those 2 programs, the end of OCC, and we're continuing on with our Indian Youth Service Corps. We also have an apprenticeship program that we weren't able to launch last year due to changing administration. However, we're looking really forward to launching it this year.
Thanks, Belinda. Next on the list, I've got Brian, who happens to also be here in person.
I'm waving because it's like weird way down here. So Brian Bond, internship coordinator for the Mount Airy Works internship program out of Mount Airy County, Frontier STEM Hub, Mount Airy ESD. Also open it up this year and doing instruction in industrial automation, mechatronics, and kind of that industrial portion, trying to get students into some good high wage jobs there. So yeah, getting ready to launch our internship program here in 2.5 weeks. So excited to see it.
Awesome. Brooke, are you out there remote? I don't think she's on
Brooke
there.
was gonna try to make it, so she
Okay.
might be late and might not be able to.
We'll
so.
keep an eye and see if she comes on. Davey, I see you on.
Hi, Davey Pearson. I'm out in Bend, Oregon. I work for a nonprofit called Discover Your Northwest. We did just have a name change. It used to be Discover Your Forest, but we're Discover Your Northwest now. And what I do specifically is partner with the Forest Service to co-manage the volunteer program and the internship program.
And Paula, we've got you on.
Hi, you guys. It was good to see a lot of you yesterday. Digit, long time no see.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paula Escobedo Rambo. I work for Oregon State University as well. I'm the open campus coordinator for Hood River, Wasco, and Gillum County. So just the gorge. And just right now, we're kind of just gearing up for graduation. Lots of seniors graduating. Just got done with decision day. And we have our Juntos Afuera camp that we are going to pilot in, I think, like 9 weeks, I think, if I know how to count. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, it's a busy spring.
Sounds good. Rana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rana. I'm the Executive Director of Portland Youth Builders. We're a BOLI certified pre-apprenticeship program. We'll be in service in the Portland area for 31 years and excited to be here.
Thank you. And Rena.
Rena Langston, Program Director for the Southwestern Oregon Workforce Investment Board. We are the workforce board for Coos, Curry, and Douglas counties. So I oversee our WIOA provider contracts as well as our other state and federal funds and all the board things. I reside in Douglas County.
Thanks. That's our appointed board members that are present today. And then we've got some non-voting members. Rhonda.
That's me. Hi, I'm Miranda Scheiding. I work here at the Higher Education Coordinating Commission. I am the Deputy Director of the Office of Workforce Investments. And what was the other prompt, Digit?
Just
Where I am today? I'm here in
here.
Salem. It's my day 2 in Salem because I was at the Talent Summit yesterday. And shout out to your program, Brian, because there was a great presentation about some of the best practices that are happening, and they were talking about Mount Works helping to grow out the Greater Oregon program. So that's pretty cool.
And then remote, Peck.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Peg Sakan. I am an executive assistant within the governor's office. I primarily provide executive support to Sarah Means, who is our workforce, higher ed, and economic development advisor. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to learn more about what the board has been doing.
Thanks. Rudy. And how about Todd?
I know Todd's double booked this morning.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm here. Just good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's my name is Rudy Ann Rivera Lindstrom, and I am the director of DEIA for the HEC. And I'm just happy to be in space with you all today. Happy almost summer.
It is almost summer, and Todd's double booked. And then we've got board staff. Newly hired Alicia, 3 weeks on the job. We're so glad to have her and that she's here, and we're gonna do a lot of work together. If you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, because you're brand new.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess just to start off, my name is Alicia Straight. I'm an office support specialist with the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, specifically in the Office of Workforce Investments. And I'll be specifically providing support to Oregon Youth Works. I'm also the board admin for the Oregon Youth Works advisory boards. And yeah, again, this is my third week here. So please bear with me.
Oh, we will. We're glad you're here. Yeah, first meeting and yeah.
But no, I'm really happy to be here and really excited to learn and grow within this agency.
Awesome. And of course, we have Doug.
Everybody, I think I know everybody. I'm Doug Denning here at the Office of Workforce Investments at the HEC, here today as the director of this advisory board.
And helping Alicia today. Kelly's here too.
I'm Kelly Hale. I work in the Office of Workforce Investments as well, and I support Oregon Serves and STOE in general.
Also in the room, Jeremy is here.
Everybody introduce as well.
Yeah.
Jeremy Otla, Oregon Youth Works team, predominantly doing work with youth workforce development and tribal workforce partnerships.
Hillary's in the room.
Hi, I'm Hillary Blackstone. My pronouns are she, her. I am a youth program specialist with the Office of Workforce Investments.
And, oh yeah, we got Kelly. I think that's it, except a guest. Is
Julia's on.
Julia is on as another tech staff? Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Pontoni. I'm the director of the Office of Workforce Investments at the HEC.
Thanks for being here. So I think as far as staff or members, did we miss that? Norman. Yeah, you're last.
I'm gonna go up to the camera.
I'm really sorry.
I'm here.
Just to make sure
She almost thought I was here. So
Stephanie is here.
hi.
She walked a quarter mile to be in front of the camera.
I'm Steph Solomon, Office of Workforce Investments. I oversee WIOA Youth as well as the Oregon Youth Employment Program. So there you go.
I like it. And then we have a guest here, Guthrie.
Hi, my name is Mike Norman. I'm also staff here at the HEC in the Office of Workforce Investments, working with the Oregon Youth Works team, and I primarily oversee the Oregon Youth Corps program.
All right, did we get everybody that's out there online? Because that does change.
Just Guthrie looks like he had joined in. Guthrie, I don't know if you wanted to do an introduction real quick or not.
Just listening in today. Thanks.
Guthrie serves as the support for our executive director for the agency, Ben Cannon. So,
awesome.
And manages and administers the Higher Education Coordinating Actual Commission. So there's the HEC, which is an agency, and there's a HEC, which is a commission. So thanks, Guthrie, for joining us.
Awesome. Okay, we'll move into the minutes from January, which was our last meeting, and everybody should have got those through email. And we will need to see if we have any corrections or edits there. If none, we need a motion to approve our January minutes.
This is Rena. I move to approve the minutes from January.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Brian seconds. All those in favor for approving the minutes, if there's no discussion? Okay. Say we're unanimous. Any opposed? Didn't hear any. Thank you. Minutes approved. We did not have any public comment. But is there anyone here providing public comment today, just to double check that? None in the room, none online. Okay, moving forward. Next on the agenda is bylaw adoption. We talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, and this also should be in our documents that we had, the bylaws, and just to say those bylaws are clean. There isn't strike throughs or anything on there, but Doug can talk a little bit about the changes.
Yeah, so just a reminder, at the last meeting, what we did, we originally structured as having 2 co-chairs. And we decided to change that format and just have a chair and a vice chair. And so that decision was made. We had elections. Jim was nominated as the chair, Digit as the vice chair. So we needed to come back and clean up the bylaws. So the bylaws, and I don't know, it's like on the second page, maybe it's down a little bit. Really, the only cleanup that needed to happen was to do a search and find for co-chairs and replace that with chair and vice chair or just chair. And then add the duties of what the vice chair does. And those duties, hopefully folks were able to just kind of read through it quickly and see there's nothing new in there that we didn't discuss. They're basically serving as the duties of the chair in the chair's absence. But we did need to at least get that cleaned up and get it to be a part of the record. So hopefully folks have had a chance to look through those, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions if there are any.
And hopefully you have that where we're sharing the screen also of that document, so. Any thoughts or discussion, comments, concerns? We'll take that as a no, but interrupt me if you are working on your sound. If there is no discussion and that looks acceptable, we would need a motion to accept those bylaws changes and go ahead and update that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not sure it's an important thing, but the page number is 3 of 2, 6 of 2, 7 of 2.
Well, that's fun.
So.
Numbers guy.
Yeah.
We'll change that.
This is good. We had a page number.
So you have page number, bottom left on each one. It goes 1 of 2, 2 of 2, 3 of 2, all the way up to 7 of 2. At least in the form in which we were provided.
You don't like improper fractions, do you?
You. Engineer brain. Will get it here.
Okay, good notation. So additional change with the page numbers. Anything else that folks see or comment? If none, with the changes, with additional changes to the page number and the changes as seen in the document, we could take a motion to accept the bylaws.
This is Rena. I move that we accept the changes to the bylaws.
Rena's made a motion, second.
Yeah, I second.
That was Ron. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the bylaw changes and updates? We've got thumbs up. We're good. Anyone opposed? I am seeing none. So we will pass that adoption. Thank you. We're gonna keep moving. It's 11:22. We're ahead of schedule, which is not bad. We have, Doug can probably do some director's report before lunchtime, so.
Yeah.
If you're ready.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And just to note too on the time, hopefully, folks will get out of here a little bit early today. There was some slush time built into the agenda just in case we needed it, but I certainly don't anticipate us stay in this meeting until 4 o'clock today, especially if we're already cruising along at the very beginning, so.
And some of us are driving home.
I'm sitting next to Digit. I might move to the other side. It's true. So I wanted to just do a few updates of things that have been happening since the last time we met, or maybe updates from the last time we met. The first one is the funding for the Oregon Conservation Corps, which is a huge milestone for the program. You know, if you've been on the board for a while, or if you've been around for a while, you'll remember that this program was created in statute, but not quite as an unfunded mandate, but an unfunded with a plan mandate, if you will. So we've been receiving funding for it on an ongoing basis, biennium by biennium. And there was no real sustainable funding attached. It was just general fund out of the state's general fund, which is not a great place to live because that's a very, very competitive place to be. So really cool what happened. There was a bill that was introduced that was increasing the transient lodging tax across the state. And it was put in as an amendment to that bill, that a percentage would go to the Oregon Conservation Corps. So that was pretty amazing. The numbers that folks were spouting, I shouldn't say spouting, touting maybe is a little more polite, on how much revenue that was going to generate were not entirely accurate. We heard numbers of $8 million. We heard numbers of $7 million. Working with the accounting department here and working with Department of Revenue, we've determined it's probably going to be closer to $6 million a biennium. And the reason for the difference is there are a couple of payments that come out of that before we receive it. Part of it goes to administration for the folks, for the operators of the hotels. They get an operator's fee out of that, as well as the Department of Revenue will tack on a fee for the administration of the dollars. So we're kind of guessing, but it does look like it's going to be about $6 million, which is great. I mean, we went from 10 million to 10 million, down to 5 million, now up to 6 million. We certainly have work to do to try to figure out how to sustain, I think, all of our programs at a little bit of a higher level in the future. But this was a great first start and a real nice breath and sigh of relief. The other thing that's caused a little bit of confusion with this is that the money's not immediate because this is a tax. So programs aren't able to say, all right, let's get going. When are the grant agreement's going to come out? When do we get our money? It's going to take a while. We won't, as an agency, won't receive our first payment from the Department of Revenue. It's anticipated to happen in May of 2027. And that'll only be a partial payment because the taxes are due on a quarterly basis. So the agency is working on determining how much of that, will be coming in, what we think we've got. Hillary's been running a lot of numbers, what we think we're going to have in reserve that can go out to try to get folks some money as soon as possible. But if you're spreading any word on the street, please let folks know this is not immediate. It will take a while for those tax revenues to build up and to come in. The 27-29 budget process, and we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but just really an update since we had short session, since the budget has been balanced since we last met. If you remember, we were talking about there were some potential cuts, and the agencies had made some cuts at the request of the governor's office. The agency did some proposed cuts, what it could look like if cuts were needed that were requested by Ways and Means. And I believe that we sent that out or shared that out at the meeting, what those cuts could look like for our programs, if indeed they were needed and if indeed they happen. The good news is they didn't happen. The budget did not need to be balanced with cutting our programs, so that was great. The sad, or not sad, I guess the somewhat negative side, I mean, it's real positive that we're not going to be cut. As far as additional funding coming, no, that is not in the works. So really the message that came, my understanding that came from the governor's office and from the budget writers was, if we propose anything as a state agency that's going to be revenue positive, meaning that we need more money, then we need to be able to offset it with some kind of a negative revenue that we're going to take away. So if we wanted to expand a program in just layman's terms, then basically we would need to cut a program in order to make that happen. So we don't have anything moving forward as far as budget items for any of our programs. At this point, things change. Legislators have their own priorities. But at this point, that's what kind of where the agency stands. There will be some cleanup done, what we call cleanup, which is really just the rewriting of policy. It's the rewriting of state statute. Julia is going to talk next about some of the changes that are going on at HEC with different programs moving to a different agency. That's going to require, you know, some rewriting of statute to make sure that all the legal authorities are in place. Where we land with all of that, as far as trying to do some cleanup with our programs, we'll see. The term we use is a cleanup bill. Agencies typically have at least one cleanup bill each session, particularly in the long session, and to just look at inconsistencies or things that need to be corrected or changed. So we probably will have some of that, but there's nothing drafted at this point. So just kind of more stay tuned. This will probably be at least at this point, this looks like it'll be one of the quieter legislative sessions we've had for our programs, probably over the last 3 biennia at least, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Board membership, I wanted to touch on that a little bit. We do have 2 open current seats. We've had some talks, Jeremy and I've talked about what could it possibly look like to have a tribal young voice represented on this board. We've had some discussions about do we need to or do we want to fill a position with an empty position down in Lane County, where we had a member was residing and then had to resign for some personal reasons off of the board. And Digit and I have been talking about it, about what could that look like. I guess what I want to open up, I don't want to spend a bunch of time with it really necessarily today, but I do want to throw out there, if you've got thoughts about someone who would be a really good fit, regardless of where they're located. I mean, we would still like to try to make sure that we have geographical location the best that we can across the state. We also have to make sure that we have representation within the categories that are stated in law as far as representation, and where folks are coming from, what expertise people are bringing to the group. But if you all have any ideas, if you'd please send me an email and let me know. We've kind of been sitting on them. One of the things that happened when we formed this board is we didn't have the foresight to stagger the board terms. So we brought on a bunch of people all at the same time, meaning that a bunch of people, if they serve their full term, will also leave at the same time, which could cause a little bit of chaos in having to replace a full board. So we left a few positions open, or 2 positions specifically, just to stagger those out a little bit. But it is time to get those filled. So Digit and I was busy before the meeting because we're sitting next to each other and talked about, you know, really a nice goal would be to have 2 really good prospects probably by the July meeting to bring folks to talk about. So I'll stop and just see if there's any questions on any of those 3 things, the OCC funding update, the budget process, or the board membership.
I guess one thing I would add, if you still have your bylaws open, you can look at Article 2, and that it's got the categories that Doug just mentioned on our membership requirements. If you look there, it's got representation guidelines, so it can kind of give you an idea of who we want to make sure we have representing if you're thinking of folks.
So just last topic is site visits. You all have gotten an email. Mike has set up a site visit that's coming up. It'll be, I don't know if you call September, fall, or summer. I guess it depends on who you are and where you live and what the weather's doing outside, but it's September. To me, that's kind of fall, to go and visit one of the programs up in the Portland metro area. And it was great. I heard back from almost all the board members actually when I sent it out there. I was like, hey, that's too far. I can't make this one, but let me know on what's available out there. So there are a couple of people though that did say they could make it. I need to get the logistics and get that set up for folks so that it's on calendars. We'd like to do more of those. We've talked a lot about doing what the term of a VIP site visit. So a site visit that's more than just than kind of a compliance visit of going out and seeing what's going on and seeing how the dollars are being spent. It takes some other folks out. And we've talked about doing that with legislators, which gets a little bit tricky. Actually, it gets really tricky. But we've also talked about doing that with you all as board members to go out and see some of these programs, as well as with some of the commission members potentially from the HEC Commission. So we'd like to do, we don't have a set number of them, but it would be nice if we could get at least 3 more on the books, if not 4. to cover probably the next, 4 or 5 months. So stay tuned. There will be emails as those opportunities pop up. We'll be talking internally staff where folks are going to be going this summer. That's a busy travel time, busy time typically for folks to see their programs. See what we can make align with that. But if there are any programs that you know of in your area that you would really love to go see, that are receiving funds from us, let us know and we can work and see if we can work that into the schedule if they're not a part of where it's already planned out for folks to be going to. I think that was it, did you?
Is there any, like a master list of where all those programs are or what they are?
Let me get one out. That's a kind of a loaded question. There is.
Well,
There's a list of.
To me, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, just in that, there's a list that exists today, that we'll talk about current or just very previous grantees. But we will be going through different RFA processes too. So as far as being 100% up to date, but we can put that together. There's actually.
That's a nice map that we could send out to everybody.
That'd be cool.
The map is slick.
Can I just put it in the chat?
Yep, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
That'll give you a nice picture geographically where the program.
Just to give people ideas too,
Sorry, Doug.
because I'm
No,
not bring
it's
Try to bring you some resources.
Thank you.
That saves me a little to do.
There we go.
Later about the check.
Hillary's doing right now. Awesome. Any questions for Doug?
Boy, you are gonna be on the road at like 2.
Do we have about 10-ish minutes. Do we want to start, Julian? On the, before lunch comes? Is it okay to start?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna be working lunch anyway. Absolutely.
Really?
If Julie's ready.
Yeah, if you're ready, we're ahead of schedule, but if you want to talk about the changes at HEC.
Sure, happy to. Let me just pull up my notes. So again, I'm Julia Pontoni. I'm the director of the Office of Workforce Investments at the HEC. So Oregon Youth Works is in my office. Last year, Governor Kotek appointed a new director of the Oregon Employment Department. And when she did that, she also directed him to conduct a comprehensive review of the Employment Department's customer service and of the state's public workforce system, which is the part of the workforce system that is funded through the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And for your all purposes, that includes the WIOA youth program that Steph Solomon manages for us. And so that is a piece, that is HEC's piece of the public workforce system. But the Employment Department conducted a broader assessment of the public workforce system and submitted a report with recommendations to the governor, which included a recommendation to move Title I of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act administration, which again includes the WIOA youth program, but also career and training services for adults and dislocated workers as well. The recommendation was to move those programs into the Employment Department from the HEC. And then the report also recommended moving the State Workforce Board, the Workforce and Talent Development Board, the support for that from the HEC to the Employment Department. The governor adopted that report and recommendations. And so those programs and the State Workforce Board will be moving to the Employment Department sometime this summer, in addition to some smaller general fund programs as well. The Oregon Youth Employment Program, which Steph also manages and provides grants to local workforce development boards, much like the WIOA Youth Program, is staying at the HEC. So that will continue to be part of the Oregon Youth Works portfolio going forward. And there will be a lot of continued cross-agency work to ensure that we're serving youth through workforce development services. And we'll be lucky to have Steph over there at the Employment Department. So as I just foreshadowed, as part of that move, some of our staff in the Office of Workforce Investments will also be moving to the Employment Department, including Steph, but also our broader WIOA team and staff supporting the Workforce and Talent Development Board. So Todd Nell, who I don't think is able to be here today, but whom you have all worked with, I believe, and Clay Martin, who also supports the State Workforce Board. And I'll talk a little bit about the rationale that the Employment Department used to recommend this move. So in most states, the programs that HEC currently administers through Title I of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act and the programs in that same legislation that the Employment Department manages. In most states, those are administered by the same agency. So this move sort of reflects the typical way that these programs are managed in other states. The Employment Department felt like they surveyed a lot of different partners, staff, customers, et cetera, to come up with these recommendations. And they heard and they agreed with the feedback that they heard was that, you know, when somebody walks into a WorkSource Oregon Center to get assistance with finding a job, getting training to be prepared for a new career or their first career, they have a fragmented experience. They often get passed around to different people who represent different programs instead of just being able to walk in and have a true one-stop experience where they can get access to all these different programs through sort of one seamless system. And so the feedback that the Employment Department heard and agreed with is that this consolidation into the Employment Department of these programs will improve service delivery in WorkSource Oregon centers and lead to an improved customer experience. And then moving the State Workforce Board to the Employment Department will also allow the board to be elevated as a true oversight entity for the public workforce system, and for them to really focus and lean into that statutory responsibility. And it's also something that the state really needs, is that sort of governance oversight entity over the public workforce system. So those are the changes that are happening. This has a significant budget impact on the HEC in that the HEC receives about $60 to $70 million each biennium for these programs and to support the State Workforce Board, and those funds will be moving over to the Employment Department. Again, most of the staff that are supporting those programs are also moving, so the costs associated with those staff will be moving to the Employment Department, but it is a significant change, and particularly a significant change for the Office of Workforce Investments. But we're working really closely with the Employment Department on the transition, and staff are also ready and eager to dig into how we can seamlessly transition the work through this process. I also just want to end with mentioning that the HEC is at the same time exploring a potential realignment as well. There aren't any details about that out there yet, but it's a sort of a broader view of how the HEC is operating and what that could look like in the future, particularly in light of this transition of some of OE's work over to the Employment Department. That is my summary. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Pretty quiet.
Again.
Oh.
Belinda.
Thank you for that. How is this all gonna, so then our workforce boards in our, like, in Harney County and Rogue Valley, the ones that we work with, so that's going to be more of like a one-stop shopping that they can plug in and get everything that they need?
So right now, they get most of their state and federal funding from the HEC, and going forward, they will get most of their state and federal funding from the employment department. And in those work source centers that you're referencing, already there's a partnership between local board staff and local workforce board staff and employment department staff, but this will hopefully make that relationship and collaboration easier and more seamless. Sometimes it's working really well right now. Sometimes it's not. And it's sort of like you're walking into a bifurcated center. So the idea is to just increase that collaboration and really make it a one-stop experience.
Thank you.
Other questions for Julia? I guess one thing that might be interesting is what kind of timeline, they're looking at for the changes.
Yeah, so we're hoping to have an interagency agreement by July 1st. That's the goal. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's the goal. Which will move the staff from the HEC to OED, and some of the administration of the programs. And then sort of throughout the end of the biennium, we'll be working on how to transfer IT systems or switch the way that certain processes work. And then in the new biennium is when the clean cut will happen, where the funding and positions are officially transferred over to the employment department. So that will be July 1st of 2027.
Thanks. Any other thoughts, questions for Julia?
I guess I have a thought, I guess really for the board. In the past, we've highlighted the WTEB, we've highlighted the local workforce boards when we've done site visits. And that's not going to change just because the funding mechanism is moving to a different agency. Our relationships are still there and our work remains the same, and we will stay, focused, and it shouldn't disrupt what we're doing, I guess is my point.
Good. Okay. Thanks for that update. That's pretty big stuff and important. So it's good to be informed on that. I think it's 11:45 right now. I think our lunch here is supposed to maybe be here right now. It might make sense to do a break now and then come back together in 30 minutes. If everybody wants to set their timers for maybe a 30-minute break, that would bring us back at 12:15. And that would bring us on the agenda to grantee updates. Still keeps us 30 minutes ahead of schedule, but does that sound okay for everybody? Okay, thanks. We'll do it. Okay, timer's 30 minutes. We'll see you soon. If you're online. If you're here, we're not going anywhere.